and welcome to the Glendreau Show,
where we do whatever the pow we want.
And today we want to tell you who our top 5 favorite Marvel characters are.
So just a disclaimer, these are only going to be characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it's safe to say that both of our lists would be very different if it wasn't that case. Like if we included like the X-Men movies and stuff.
Or the Fantastic Four. Yeah.
So this is just the, I guess like the Avengers franchise really.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and like all the different branches of So my number 5 Marvel character is Gamora. I really love Guardians of the Galaxy, both of those movies. They're probably like 2 of my top favorite Marvel movies. But I love Gamora and the way that her and Star-Lord interact. I think that they are very like complementary to each other. So yeah, choose my number 5.
Okay. My number 5 is Doctor Strange. And not just because Benedict Cumberbatch plays him, but kind of. Yeah, I love Doctor Strange. I think part of the reason I love him so much, besides Benedict, is that he is basically Tony Stark, just not the mechanics and the engineering type Tony Stark. He's like the mystic arts type. But no, I like that, because I'll just spoil it for you right now, I don't like Iron Man that much. So I like the other Iron Man. I think his movie was really interesting. Even though it paralleled Tony's a lot, I think his movie was very, very different from other Marvel movies.
My number 4 is also from the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it is Star-Lord. I don't know that he's that far down on my list. It was just those two together kind of had to go together. Anyway, I love Peter Quill. I'm not gonna lie, part of it is the resemblance between him and my husband.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's so funny because before, like, Philip always told me that, and I was like, whatever. And then we watched Guardians of the Galaxy in one of my classes this last semester, and like, I've seen it before, but I was like, oh, cool. And I couldn't not see it. Every time he like made a face or something, I was like, Philip does that. Philip looks like that. But also, he's so funny. Like, I love how funny he is in those movies, and just I don't know.
It's interesting that he's the lead character, but he's also the comic relief.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
That is weird. I also like it. And again, like Star-Lord and Gamora together, like especially after Infinity War. Oh my god.
Okay, so my number 4 is Black Panther, or T'Challa specifically. I love that movie so much. It was so different from any other Marvel movie. It's so unique. It stands alone. You don't have to know anything else about the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Marvel in general. It's an amazing movie. I love how deep his character is. I love that we got a glimpse into an entirely different culture, because with Marvel it's so America-centric. It was so nice to get out of our culture and see this entirely different culture that's still in the Marvel universe.
My number 3 is Iron Man. So I have always liked Iron Man. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of the Iron Man movies. I think I saw the first one and maybe the second one, but I honestly haven't really kept up with his movies. But in the Avengers, I really like him. I love how like witty he is, and how like he's just a dick, and I love it. I don't know. I think it's because of my hatred for Captain America is a huge part of it. And so like Civil War, like that's when I really was like Team Iron Man. Like whatever you're fighting for, like I hate that guy. So because Captain America's just so boring, and like I'm soldier, and Iron Man is like, I'm rich and I have all this cool stuff, and like I like that, so that's fine.
All right, my number 3 is the Winter Soldier, or Bucky. I freaking adore him. He is just, I mean, from the first moment I saw him in Captain America, the First Avenger, I was like, this precious little thing, please just take care of him. I just love him so much, and I love that his story is so intense and so different from Steve's, even though they both experienced a very similar thing. I love that relationship that they have, that it's still so strong after all this time, and it's strong in both directions. So, Bucky took care of Steve when they were younger, and now Steve is taking care of Bucky. And I love it. I think it's amazing. And I love his redemption story. I love that he's becoming a very important part of the group, even though he was so terrible, and not by his own doing. But yeah, I love that.
Okay, my number 2 is Thor.
Oh my god.
So here's my thing with Thor. I feel like in the beginning of the Avengers series, I wasn't a huge fan of him because he's just so like arrogant. Mm-hmm. One thing that I really love about the way that they always make sure to make him powerful. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like he's the god of thunder. You know what I mean? So I feel like it'd be really disappointing if like Iron Man came in and was able to do something that like Thor wasn't able to. Mm-hmm. I don't know, I feel like it always ends up being Thor. And that's one thing I loved about Infinity Wars, was like, he's just so powerful. Mm-hmm. And also, like, I'm really interested in like mythology and stuff. Yeah. So, like, I took a world mythology class and learned a lot about like the actual story of Thor. And I don't know, and it's interesting because I didn't watch the Thor movies when they first came out, mm-hmm. but then I like watched all of them before Ragnarok came out. But so I watched all of them like fairly recently, like within the last year, mm-hmm. and I was like, oh my gosh, like I actually really like these movies. Yeah. And I also really liked Thor Ragnarok because of the way it kind of copied Guardians of the Galaxy. Like it went on that same sort of thing. I actually have a couple of points to say about that. So first, Thor was gonna be on my top 5 list actually. I know, freaking surprising. My only, like if I had top 6, he would be 6. Okay. The thing is, the only reason he's not in my top 5 is because I didn't immediately love him. Mm. Every single one of my top 5 characters, they came on screen and I was like, I love you. I love you so much. I pledge my loyalty to you. And Thor was the exact opposite until Ragnarok. Yeah. Until that movie, I hated him. And in that movie, I was like, that was the turning point for me. I was like, oh, I kind of like you. And then Infinity War, I was like, I fucking love you. Oh my god. Yeah. That is why he's not on my top 5. And the other point I want to make is that I think it's interesting that of the core Avengers, he's the only one whose powers were not granted to him by something else. He didn't gain them through some medical practice. Mm-hmm. He is powerful just because he's Thor. Mm-hmm. He is Thor. My number 2 is Captain Motherfucking America, specifically Steve, because I know that could very soon change. Mm-hmm. It will soon change. So, yes, I love Steve Rogers. I love him. And I think honestly, I know everything ties back into Buffy anyway, but I'm just gonna have to say it. It makes a lot of sense that you like Iron Man and I like Captain America. Spike and Angel. Spike and Angel. It's Spike and Angel again. It's just Spike and Angel in the Marvel universe. Angel. It's Iron Spike and Captain Angel. And Angel is the Dark Avenger.
Yes. But yeah, it makes sense because Steve is just all about, like you said, rather mockingly, truth and justice and the American way, and I just love how righteous and honest and beautiful he is. And I love his movies. Captain America the First Avenger I thought was really, really cool. I love that we got to go back in history and see the war from that perspective, from like a behind the scenes kind of story of World War II, and I loved the second one because it was like a political thriller. It didn't have much to do with like superpowers or anything. It was mainly just like espionage and this like guy who's in power that we want to get out of power. It was really cool. I liked that a lot. And then Civil War, I'm just so with freaking Steve. Like, I don't want anyone governing the Avengers. They need to govern themselves.
So my number one favorite Marvel character I was first introduced to, I had never even heard of him before until Civil War. And as soon as I saw him, I was like, what? And that is Black Panther. That's T'Challa. Oh my gosh. I love him so much. I love, like, I went and saw Civil War in theater, and like, he doesn't have a huge part in that movie, but he had like the biggest impact on me in that entire movie. And I was like, whoa, like, he's so cool. And I talked to Philip about it, and I was just like, I really love this character. Like, oh my gosh, like, I love that he's a cat. Like, I love his, like, uniform suit.
His suit, yeah.
His super suit?
Yeah, super suit.
And like his claws, and I don't know, like, I find like the entire like aesthetic really, really cool. Black Panther movie, and let me tell you, from the time it was announced, we had our plan to go to see it.
Yeah.
And went and saw it, and you know, like, that is 100% like my favorite Marvel movie. It is so good. I feel like it's so impactful. Like, it sends such a huge message, and I love his character. I love the way that the character is played. I love everything about Black Panther.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, my number one character, which you probably already know.
Is it Loki?
It's Loki.
I love how, can I just throw something out here real quick? I love how, like, you love Captain America and I love Iron Man. And then, like, if you think about Thor and Loki, like, that's opposite. Like, you should like Thor and I should like Loki.
Because Thor's all about, you know, like, this is the way it has to be done, and, you know, he's all about the good and the righteous, and I'm all about Loki.
Yeah, it's really funny. But yeah, anyway.
So I think part of the reason I like Loki so much is obviously because he's played by Tom Hiddleston. But besides that, I love his story. I love the fact that he's a part of all of this because Odin made this fucking choice to take him and lie to him for so many years. I love the fact that he's in so many of the Marvel movies as both a villain and kind of sort of a hero. I love that he's like a boomerang. You like can't fucking get rid of him. For so long it was like, who's gonna be the next big bad guy? Loki again? Because it just seemed like he won't leave and he just continues to be the bad guy. But no, I really love his story. I love the fact that he's the second brother. He's trying so hard to be just better than Thor. He's trying so hard. Like, all of his motivation is just that he wants to be noticed. He wants to be recognized. He wants people to like him. Not like him, but he wants to rule. And Thor gets to just because he gets to.
That's kind of like Angel and Spike again, but opposite. I
know, but like Loki just, I don't know, he really appeals to me. I love his story. I love the character. And I also really especially love the development of his character, because his development is very subtle in comparison to some of the other characters, like Thor. Loki's development is so minuscule that, like, you might not notice it if you're not paying attention. And I just have to say that, like, I started crying with the first death of Infinity War, and then as soon as he tried to go up against Thanos, I started crying. I was like, this is it, because I'm pretty sure that's actually the end of Loki. I'm pretty sure that Tom Hiddleston is done playing him, and I'm pretty sure that they don't have anything else for Loki to do in the show, or in the films, which makes sense. They've taken the character, I think, as far as they can. If they do bring him back, I'm not mad about it. I would be remiss to have him back, but I don't know. I think, even though I'd love to have him back, I think he's definitely redeemed himself. He's made it apparent that he is important and that he is worthwhile as a character.
So that's our top 5 favorite Marvel characters. Yep. We only had one that was on both of our lists.
Black Panther? Okay. You start or me? Okay.
Oh, perfect.
And today, really want to Trevor. Oh, he's like, love me, please.
Chuck is my favorite Marvel character.
Yes.
No. You don't need a smoothie, Chuck. I really enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy. I was like, saviors of the
Saviors of the universe. No, Steve is taking care of Buffy. And it's
Buffy.
I'm still stuck on Buffy.
Marvel has handed Thor. Here is Thor. He is Thor.
He is Thor.
He is Thor. He is Thor.